Hi guys, how's everybody's night going? I hope everybody's having a awesome, fun-filled night or whatever you are doing on your Monday night. But it's me again, Veronica. Hi. I know I was supposed to upload on in mornings, but this morning I really felt like crap. I mean, like but crap, because of the simple fact that I am going through a gabapentin withdrawal. We're not going to talk about my addiction on this channel. If you want to know more on my addiction and what I'm going through with it, head over to my Facebook page, which is Veronica Patterson. It is a blog on there. It's called Veronica's Addiction Journey. That's where I do my addiction talking at and the symptoms I'm going through, and try to do inspirational talk, inspirational things to other people that is out there struggling with addiction also, because it's no fun and it is a mental illness. It's something that disables you completely, especially when you're going through withdrawals and you're trying to quit cold turkey. It disables you from doing so much. It does. Like, holding down a job is impossible. Sometimes even taking care of my own kids feels like just can't do it sometimes, and I have to take them to my grandma at points. It's just a lot, and so if you are interested in that, head over there to that. Look up some of my videos, give them a thumbs up, leave a comment. If you feel like you need somebody to talk to, I'm here for you. Inbox me. So I'm here for you. Anyways, guys, with that out of the way, I did looked up some things that I do want to talk about in my Halloween series. It's going to be under my Halloween mystery, Unsolved mystery series. It is. So with no further ado, let's get into it and let's go. We're going to start this out. Well, guys, I can pull the right file up. It really would help. Well, I know I saved it, but where did I save it at? But grip current is increased wave activity later in the week. Well, guys, we might just be kind of, out of luck, because I don't know if I saved it. I'm pretty sure I did save it, but I'm not sure where I saved it at, guys. I'm just like awful when it comes to that. In the mountain valleys along the no, that's not it. I think good for the day. Wednesday. Well, guys, I did not save what I was planning on talking about. And then later in the day, today, look for us down the road, the 25th through the 29th. But I do have a case that we can talk on. Some precipitation. Oh, guys, wait a minute. Might be in luck. All right, highs of 79 Tuesday. We'll get into the lower 80s. We'll see some areas lower 80s tomorrow again on Wednesday, probably on Thursday. I'm thinking Richmond County, Anson County more likely for that. These overnight temperatures not in those mid to lower 40s. We have to enjoy as we move through the weekend. Now, the next best chance for rain is probably this weekend. I'll have much more. Okay, guys. My computer is acting really strange. Like, it's not really strange. But I'm eventually going to get there, and we are going to get to talk about this. And this week, Spectrum News One reporter Molly Hurley shows. Okay, guys, that's what I'm talking about. Yay! Okay, let's get this going. Okay, we're gonna start out with a young girl named Chelsea Burke. When Chelsea Burke left her home on October 26, of 2014 to head out to a Halloween party in Michigan, she had no idea she'd never return. Dressed as the villainous Poison Ivy from the Batman comics, the 22-year-old Malibu resident appeared to be having a good time, with the exception of a facial wound she suffered after drunkenly stumbling into a post. We all had those times, right? When we were just so drunk that we just stumbled into things, knocked things over, things that was actually like there in front of our face, and we would still like just run straight into them because we are so seriously drunk. We all had them days, right? I know I did. Anyways, the party was attended by hundreds of people, and several witnesses gave a description of the man Chelsea was reportedly last seen with, but police have been unable to identify him since. The first big break in the case came when pieces of her Halloween costume were found in an abandoned industrial area of Flat Rock, Michigan. Months later, in fact, nearly 6 to the day when she disappeared, and approximately 10 miles away, all hope that Chelsea Burke would be found alive was lost when her skeletal remains were discovered in a rural, wooded area. Authorities continued to follow up on leads and tips, and the case remained open, but are at loss as to what happened to Chelsea. So this remains unsolved to this day. This took place in Michigan, and this young girl was 22 years old. But the thing is, at this party, people that was at the party described the man that she was last seen with. So what happened to this man? Where did he go? I mean, it's like a true, it is a real life mystery, but it's like he just vanished into thin air or something, because they have not been able to find this man since, and that was in 2014, guys. That was 6 years ago, almost to the day. Anyways, let's move on. Okay, this is Christy Burke. Christy Burke was 13 years old when she was seen for the last time on Halloween night in 1982. The teen had been living with a foster family in Tacoma, Washington at the time, and had been known to frequent the streets of the city that surrounding areas, although she had no history as a runaway, nor was she known to engage in any unsavory behavior such as prostitution. There was an unconfirmed report that Burke was spotted later that night at a bus depot in Seattle, and her mother believes that she may be alive and well, but authorities are at the unfortunate opinion that she is deceased. In May 1993, Christie's name was added to a list of probable victims of a notorious Green River killer due to her Pacific Northwest location, where many women were murdered between 1982 and 1984. The killer, later identified as Gary Ridgway, was convicted of 48 separate murders and later confessed to double that number. Burke is one of the 7 women suspected to be among the unconfirmed victims of one of the most prolific serial killers in history, but the scary part is that no one knows for sure. And that is a very scary thing, guys. You don't know for sure if this young girl who ain't even got a chance to live her life. She was only 13 years old when she went missing, guys. You're just starting to become into that young woman, into that maturity, into that, teenager, that you always dreamed of being, because I know me as a young child, whenever I was like 12, I was so ready to be that 13, to be in the teens, so I can pretend, I was older and I could do this and I could do that, This young girl didn't even get the chance to do that, and that breaks my heart. So hopefully one day her killer will be found and be prosecuted for her murder. Okay, anyway, guys, let's move on. This is the case of Chris Jenkins, and this happened in 2002. Chris Jenkins and some friends visit a keg party before heading to a place called the Lone Tree Bar and Grill to celebrate the festivities. The bar was in downtown Minneapolis, where Chris was attending school at the University of Minnesota. The group arrived at approximately 10:30 p.m., and around an hour and a half later, Jenkins was removed from the establishment by security and banned from returning. More than likely drunk, and was doing some crazy stuff and ended up getting thrown out of the bar. Okay. This left Chris literally out in the cold. It was 20 degrees that night, wearing only his costume as a Native American attire and without his wallet, cell phone, or keys. He was never seen again. The area around the lawn tree was riddled with crime and not an ideal place to be roaming around at night alone and intoxicated. A private investigator was hired by the family, who was told by witnesses that on that same night, a large group of men attacked a lone person, possibly as a gang initiation, just across the street from the bar where Chris was last seen. So, this could possibly be the attack on Chris. I'm not sure. The investigators are not sure. Nothing is concrete in this case. It's just all speculation. But let's read on. Two different scent tracking dogs on separate days picked up Chris's trail on the sidewalk where the attack was alleged to have taken place and followed to the same spot inside the parking garage next door, where a few drops of blood and a single red feather was found. The feather probably from Chris's Native American costume. The feather may have been from Jenkins' costume, but the trail came to a halt in the spot. Chris Jenkins was found 4 months later, floating in the Mississippi River, a victim of what was originally believed to be either a suicide or an accidental drowning. Guys, I don't know if I believe that, because I read on this case, and there for a minute they was thinking that it was he was part of the quote the smiley face killer, where there was a lot of killings of young men in that area in Minnesota at that time, and there was always a smiley face left where their bodies were, so they ended up deeming that serial killer the smiley face killer. But considering that where his body was found at, and considering witness accounts and everything else, I think there's a little more to what happened to Chris Jenkins than an accidental drowning or a suicide. I don't think he would commit suicide. Now he was highly intoxicated. He could have fell in and drowned, but I just don't know, guys. There's mixed opinions on this one. But hey, if y'all have an opinion, leave it down in the comment section, okay, guys? And I will read it, and we will get around to it. Okay, the next one we're going to be talking about is David Stone. David Stone was a man who appeared to have it all. He was a successful stock market analyst, making good money in a stable career, who was big into the New Age movement, a popular subculture in the 1980s, and by all accounts, a sane man with a sharp, analytical mind. However, a few days before Halloween of 1988, he left his home when a heated argument with a party guest turned to violence, something that those closest to Stone say was completely out of character. David Stone was seen intermittently sitting next to his vehicle on Highway 80 and apparently set on foot into the desert. He was spotted by witnesses several times that day, including a farmer who found him wandering around on the property, noting that he was dressed inappropriately for cold weather, while muttering something about being in search of the beast before vanishing for good. His car was found on November the 5th off of the same highway parked near some pyramid-shaped mountains. So he was in search of some kind of beast, guys. I don't know if he was on some kind of drugs, if he was on alcohol, or the mixture of both, but he told this farmer that he was in search of a beast. So let's read on. Searchers headed north from the location of the car and found two pyramids fashioned out of rocks and surrounded by a triangle with David, a Rolex watch lying next to one of them. 3 miles farther north, they found a Fremarkery, is that how you pronounce it? Sequence, another pattern using stock analysts etched into the soil. This one ended in 18 rather than the standard 21. Bloodhounds were able to track David's scent along Highway 80, 13 miles north from where his car was abandoned, but the trail went cold. His family found a most peculiar note inside his vehicle that read, "They think the word is," quote guys, "they think the word is in the safe. 6 knives in Rob's room. You buys your tea and you take your chances Halloween." 2 hikers found Dave Stone's remains in the desert in 1992, 4 years after he went missing, despite having no idea what caused his erratic behavior and how and why he died. There was no signs of any foul play. So there was this peculiar letter found in his vehicle that read, quote, "They think the word is in the safe. 6 knives in Rob's room. You buys your tea and you take your chances Halloween," unquote. If this is something that's supposed to be deciphered, I have no idea how you're going to decipher this. I have no clue whatsoever. But what is amazing to me is when his remains were found, there was no evidence of foul play. Nobody has done nothing to him. And before he went missing, the way he acted completely out of his character, his erratic behavior, was, I mean, something had to cause that, right? Because a lot of us are not just going to act out an erratic behavior unless we are on drugs, drunk, or we are mentally ill, or the combination of all three, or just possibly the combination of two and two. There's something that's going to make us act out in an erratic way, in an angry way. And something had to spark that in him because they had never seen that in David before. And then as this farmer was talking about, he heard him muttering something about, quote, "going to find the beast," unquote. I'm not sure, guys, what to make of that. What beast are we supposed to be going to find? But, there's something that had to have happened there. I'm not sure what it was. I'm not sure what set him off. I'm not sure what caused him to act out in his erratic behavior way, But there's one more on here, guys. I think I got it kind of backwards. But we are going to, this is the case of Pocahontas. That's what they called her.
Distant future.
But I don't know if it actually.
I'm Rob Wood, Spectrum News 1.
Okay, but further investigation calls.
Being closely watched this election style Latino and Gen Z voters.
Okay, guys. I think I got that one kind of backwards, and I'm trying to figure out how to put it together. But this is about a case of a Minnesota resident. I think she was 40 years old. Her name is Veronica Safisky. She attended a party. Sorry, guys, at Mike's Bar in the nearby town of Warren. The year was 1996, and Veronica was separated from her husband at the time, was decked out in a Pocahontas costume. Shortly after midnight, her friend at the party was unable to locate her inside the establishment, and witnesses later reported that she was last seen leaving with a man named Kevin. We're just going to say it's Kevin, okay, guys? I cannot pronounce his name. But he was a known sex offender with multiple charges. The couple reportedly left together in a new model Dodge Power Ranger truck. That's wagon truck, my bad, guys, with organ plates. Kevin was never seen or heard from again. She was reported missing later that day, and weeks later, a belt believed to be part of her costume was found alongside a country road in the area, but an extensive search yielded no further clues of any kind. Kevin admits to leaving the party with Veronica, but claims to have no knowledge of what happened to her afterwards. No charges has ever been filed against him, and her case remains unsolved. Even as months turned into years, Veronica's parents continued to search the remote areas of Marshall County, hoping to find some answers as to what happened to their daughter. And at the start of each hunting season, the sheriffs asked local hunters to be on the lookout when traversing the rural lands in regards to finding closure to her family. Sheriff Herb Mustard said, "You look into Veronica's parents' eyes and you see the agony. You don't know how they feel. That's always that glimmer of hope that will find her." So, with this case, it's deemed the Pocahontas case because of her costume. Veronica, she got the same name as me. She was last seen with this Kevin dude, who is a known sex offender and has multiple charges of obviously sexual assaults. I'm not sure if it's obviously it had to be with an underage girl to be considered a sex offender. But you got this guy who has these charges, who you were last seen with this guy. She was last seen with this guy. But this guy claims, he comes forward and he does admit to being with Veronica on that night, but he claims that when he dropped, he had never seen her afterwards. So, Kevin, tell us, where did you drop her off at? Was there any other people around? Was it in a rural area? Was she dropped did you get into an argument maybe? Maybe you was trying to make a sexual advances towards her and she was not having it. Something went horribly wrong. There are so many questions in this case, considering that she left with a sex offender. But guys, I'm going to leave it at that because I have plenty of more research to do tonight and probably upload sometime tomorrow. I'm not going to say in the morning. I'm going to say sometime tomorrow. But remember, love is love. Always be kind. Stay beautiful. And please, 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 guys, stay safe out there. Don't go, get in cars with strangers. Don't go causing mischief, and don't go, just doing things you're not supposed to do. And last but least, say no to drugs and drinking. It's not worth it. It's not worth the heartache it brings with it. It's not worth the devastation that it causes. Take it from somebody that is a recovering addict themselves. With that being said, guys, always put God first. I'm out of here. Good night. Love y'all.